established to protect scenic views, with a moss crop gorge through Little North Mountain and recognized as the oldest state-managed natural area in Virginia with 936 acres. Feeding a vital transportation route in our history named the North River for its northern tributary that flows into the James River from the north. The 43-mile Maury River in Virginia is unique because it is the only river in the state that begins and ends within the boundaries of a single county, Rikers County, officially renamed in 1945 by an act of the Virginia General Assembly. The pathfinder of the seas, Matthew Fontaine Maury, was honored as a famous 19th century oceanographer, and me and my professor who treasured the natural, flowing body of water, a place for photography and dam supplies in the best of the land throughout the scenic waterway, Ecophycology topography. Ecophycology is mental health, a physical vision and the feeling of being surrounded. At the time of forest bathing within your television with the feeling of being surrounded, it creates safety outside of survival mode PTSD. When watching television, a person has boundaries from the surroundings, even in a negative situation that is being watched. Forest bathing with the television is not isolation, but a maladaptive daydreaming experience connecting you to the earth. For those working more in urban environments, a natural infrastructure construction is a general revelation for neuroplasticity. Rebuilding neuroplastic city roads that rewire habitat synapses. Restorative patterns on railways for travelers with the environment will reduce their overworking. Watching nature is only a dose, more of a mental stimulate for mood and reducing anxiety. While a physical sensory engagement is a physical activity that reduces blood pressure, cortisol, and stress. A bridge of sensation, objects in an environmental visual cortex perception, while emotion impacts human perception. A collision of emotions and behavior into cognitive taxation. Trail markers. Trail blazes, tags, and reflective markers are the most common methods of marking trails, including the blue and white blazes in Goshen passes Preserve Loop, Lookout Rock, and Jump Mountain where this video was taken. Like in these trails, one vertical rectangle blaze represents a straight path. Change in direction or turn would be two rectangle blazes, one on top of the other, representing which way your trail turns, as the top rectangle would be offset to the left or right. A trail not to be confused with one on top of the other without a left or right direction, but commonly used as a T-shape of different color rectangles. Other indicators like tags or plastic or metal disc diamond shapes that will be screwed to the tree. These tags are indicators for fire tracks and the forestry suppliers' trail-like markers. If reflective markers are used, the markers are designed for night hiking and visibility for hunters and hikers. All of the markers I have just talked about are placed to 3 inches above eye level that last up to 10 years. As an example, the Appalachian Trail uses white markers and inside trails marked with blue markers. Cleansing energy and finding mental clarity through spiritual growth. Animals and animal spirits is where you find yourself through self-evaluation and animal studies. This is the reason I study animals, the reason I love nature, because phycology and phycologists are sometimes just not enough for humans. To see the landscape painted with a palette knife, the mountains, the sky, the quartz rocks. Quartz just in quartz being scientific physical properties and a metaphysical belief that possesses piezoelectric properties. This generates an electrical charge when mechanically stressed. Like a tuning fork, quartz can enhance your ability to feel the surrounding area's energy. These areas are inhabited by mountain lions and rocky terrain as in the Blue Ridge Parkway. This high-straight traversal in Goshen, past Virginia. I was aware there was one way down the Mineral Rich area for a human. A mountain lion's playtime and curiosity where they hunt just after dark and after the bald eagles that flew through the sunsets went to nest, without an empty wilderness. Where else would the animals go? We share the same biological, emotions, and social programming with animals. The behavior benefits and well-maintained surroundings produce fewer aggressive issues and better social skills. I took time to see the sun go down behind the mountains and the stars to fill the sky, or mountain lions and bears if they were played alongside of me as they went down to Goshen Pass and towards the Maury River, growling beside the quartz cliff as it passed by its normal terrain and rock formations palisades. Whether they protect their habitats in a mountain lion's nature to reduce conflict as protected forest wildlife, respecting nature as I always have in life. I stayed awake to hear trees being knocked over, growling in the dark as it passed me by and passed by their normal habitats and territory. If a mountain lion or bear, I was left alone, but warned not to follow them. Their cubs probably making the sound as they were making their way up and down the hillside. The next morning, the rocks on the one-way path was covered by a dead tree knocked over from a wild animal's aggression, intimidation, and warning. For a sunrise over the hawk's crop of the Maury River. plants in Goshen Pass, on the steep slopes full of the redwoods of the east. Before the 1900s blight, about 4 billion chestnut trees were known on the east coast of America, reaching 100 foot tall. Their canopy covered 25% of the hardwood canopy, and it was often called the lords of the forest. Mature chestnuts in a well-drained mountain range were rot resistant. Nature took a cash investment from the rural families that collected nuts annually. When a fungus, humans being the cause of the fungus, was introduced to America from imported chestnuts, humans brought proof and entry of parasitical in 1904. This blight spread throughout 1950, killing 99.9% of mature American chestnut population that was lost. Luckily, the roots of the chestnut were resistant to the fungus, but are still susceptible even after the billion of sprouts continue today. American chestnut trees become infected and continue to die before reaching this maturity. In these forests, there are still table mountain pine filled with lights and chrysalis balls, and the peach pine trees are the survivalist's best friend. Fire starter and fire regulations in Blue Ridge Mountains is why there are restrictions throughout the Blue Ridge elevations. This applies to all backcountry campsites and shelters, where mixed oaks, black oaks, and hickory grow in the flood zone of Goshen Pass. The flood zone seen a historic flood in 1985 that damaged the Goshen Scout Reservation Dam, roads, and Rockbridge baths. The rare freshwater spartina pictinida, also called cordgrass, can also be found in this county that reaches 3 to 8 feet in height. The perennial blooms from July to September are vital to the environmental erosion control and supporting wildlife habitats. Low bush blueberries and mountain laurel and huckleberry that taste hard and sweet. These huckleberries are rarely cultivated for its complex wild flavor that is rich in vitamin C. This forest has strict conservation rule in an area that generally does not allow foraging within the mountain wildlife management topographic terrain that reaches up to 3,400 feet. Grapes and dandelions, hickory nuts, and other diverse flowering plants located in Rockbridge County that is about north 10 miles from Lexington, Virginia. The gorge is located on Route 39 and parking can be found alongside the roadway. There is a scenic timber frame picnic area, sometimes called Wayside, that is located on the right side of Route 39 and has easy access to picnic tables, grills, portable restrooms, and easy access to swimming and fishing. These areas in Virginia are dedicated to protect this rare plants and animals, where there is appreciating beauty in the moment, instead of picking a flower and killing it. If you see a flower, let it live. If you love a flower, don't pick it up, because if you pick it up, it dies and it ceases to be what you love. So if you love a flower, let it be. Love is not about possession. Love is about appreciation. There are 16,157 acres within the Wildlife Management Area of WMA. Rockbridge County, Virginia permits can be obtained, and hunting is permitted for deer, bear, turkey, grouse, squirrels, and rabbits. While visitors 17 and older require a hunting permit or a WMA access permit in all areas, including Goshen's Little North Mountain, Britain Forge, and Outback Mountains. This area is maintained by the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, DWR, that is owned by the Commonwealth, first acquired in 1954. Passages in Scripture resemble the area. While Egypt was swallowed by plagues, Goshen was preserved. Exodus 8:22. The oasis, the best of the land, that inspired artists such as the painter Pierre. The 1890s boomtown was a originated community for iron mining and railroad access until the year 1893. The economic crash that had the town turned down for becoming a major city. The Grand Boulevard, Maury Avenue, was going to be the attraction for tourists and investors during the year 1893. British banking scandals kept the area from becoming a metropolitan hub. The Allegheny Hotel in 1891 and the Goshen Land Company Bridge in 1890 was constructed. The Allegheny Hotel, also known as the Palace, was built and designed by the architect Stanford White. This was all after the area was used by indigenous people thousands of years ago. The Cherokee, Shawnee, and Monacan Indian Nation lived in the area for more than 15,000 years. Archaeologists have found evidence of these tribes and burial grounds in the area. Buffalo and elk used to walk through these mountain openings in the areas of the Calf Pasture River. The Great Warrior Path in the 1600s was dominated by a record during battles with the Cherokee and Catawba tribes. This is where Goshen Pass has formed the name of one of the swimming holes, Indian Pool, preserved where an Aboriginal could have saved themselves during the younger dryas flood 30,000 years ago by climbing a mountain as high as Jump Mountain when the waters would have heavily eroded and sculpted gorges from melting ice sheets of glacier drainage. Mega floods continued over the years that washed quartzite tools and arrowheads throughout the acidic soil. The Indians and Clovis people would have been saved on mountains as House Mountain and Little House Mountain during mega floods after younger dryas. Heavily Indian occupied lands where they would rest high on the mountains. A mountaintop experience, a sacred place where heaven meets earth, a test of faith that strengthens one's spiritual life. On the uphill climb, like you're climbing a ladder for a priceless view, you'll find mountain laurel climbing a ladder for you. Make sure you keep your arms within the trail. Mountain laurel can cause allergic reactions and poisonous if touched. Irritation, swelling, or blistering can occur. A toxic plant if ingested if you're not a deer in its natural surroundings, and what mountain lions don't eat. Mountain lions and bears. They avoid humans and slink away to avoid contact. A mountain lion does not reveal itself unless it is wanted to be seen. The Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources states the last mountain lion was killed in 1882. That is by online sources. They say that mountain lions are no longer in the area, but mountain lions are rarely heard, more or less seen. They see, smell, and feel humans long before they are in their location, with one leap 15 to 18 feet vertically and 40 to 45 feet horizontally. There is a reason they are not seen in the wild with a 50 miles per hour burst to ambush prey, without a person even noticing their 9-foot clearance and hide over an obstacle when they gnaw on their game. A man with a rifle, if he is elite, can turn his gun in 0.5 seconds if he can sight an ambush, while the mountain lion is instant with one leap and stealth. That would be close to impossible for Jerry Miculek to be considered an average shooter within 100 square miles of a mountain lion's territory. One male mountain lion's territory would be between Beckley, West Virginia and Appomattox, Virginia, and within the mountains east of Roanoke, Virginia and Harrisonburg, Virginia's Blue Ridge and Shenandoah Mountain Range. The 2 to 3 breeding females of ghost cat or veteran mountain lions that has a larger territory of up to 150 square miles because of the large stealth for up to 13 years old, 8 feet long and exceeding 200 pounds of lethal and apex predator. listening to skunks throughout the night snuffling for food. Keep me up waiting to hear scratching on rocks down below on a rock cliff from larger predators. It will change the way you approach a skunk once you have drank his spray. Living in this country's old farming pastures and having chickens free range, you come across some enemies patching eggs at night, running to attack the skunk, turning the skunk mace in the eye. Days of watching for a thief that was stealing chicken eggs. As I ran down to the skunk with confidence that I was going to eliminate a problem on the old farm lands. As soon as I got an arm's length to the skunk, he had rolled onto his back and tail aimed. The first shot. If you have never been sprayed in the eye by a skunk, then it will temporarily blind you. It will leave you yelling out loud with your mouth wide open. Why would a person think skunk spray would be more accurate than a bottle of mace you can buy in the store? The second spray is worse when it gets in your mouth, and it's all you can taste for a week at work for lunch. Shaving your hair and bathing in tomato juice can only do but so much. Specialized mammals of defense with accuracy and a war from anger that I had just been hit with. I couldn't help but to lose the thief as he ran under an old storage building. But anger and determination keep me going for the skunk. I did everything I could to dig under the storage building. I tried to smoke him out and shove sticks in a hole that went under the building where the skunk had made his home. Just to think about him for the next week eating egg sandwiches at work. When a skunk rears up at you, I would suggest to just leave them alone. Even a mountain lion leaves a skunk alone when hunting for food. Cliff jumping in Goshen Pass as a kid was what we went for. Most people that came to the area would jump from the ledge. The locals, as I was, would start from across the road and get a running start, making sure no cars would come in before takeoff. The first obstacle was the guardrail you had to jump over. If you didn't lose your footing, then the wall was where we left ground from. This would give the cliff jump a little more height and distance to clear from the 80 foot that I measured with a 100-foot tape measure when I was a kid. In order to make the jump, you have to get out far enough to clear a shallow rock, and the climb back up is just as much as the mountain in this video after a day in Goshen Pass, where you can find natural forest, boisterous water, and where the Spanish named the land surrounding Rockbridge County from the mountains of the Blue Ridge Parkway. The views, Buena Vista.